Fire from heaven. In the land of Israel, many people had forgotten God. King Ahab and Queen Jezebel worshipped a false god named Baal. But one man, Elijah the prophet, stood up for the one true God. Elijah had a special message from the Lord. Elijah went straight to the king and said, "There will be no rain or dew until I say so." Then he disappeared. Without rain, the rivers dried up, crops died, and people cried out for help. God was showing the nation. He alone controlled the skies. God told Elijah to hide by a stream called Kerith. Each day he drank from the brook and waited. And every morning and evening, God sent ravens with bread and meat. Even in the wilderness, God cared for his servant. When the brook dried up, God sent Elijah to a poor widow. She had just a handful of flour and a little oil. Elijah asked her to make him bread, promising God would not let her food run out. She obeyed, and her jars never became empty. One day, the widow's son became sick and died. She wept and thought God was punishing her. Elijah carried the boy upstairs and prayed 3 times. God heard Elijah's prayer, and the boy came back to life. After 3 years, God told Elijah to return to King Ahab. Elijah challenged the people and the 450 prophets of Baal to meet him on Mount Carmel. He said, "Let's see whose God sends fire from heaven." The people agreed to watch. The prophets of Baal built their altar first. They shouted, danced, and even cut themselves, trying to wake their God. But Baal was silent. No fire came. Elijah watched quietly and waited for his turn. Elijah built an altar with 12 stones, laid wood, and placed a bowl on it. He poured water all over it until it soaked everything. Then he prayed, "Lord, show them you are God." Suddenly, fire fell from heaven and burned up the offering, wood, and even the water. The people fell on their faces and cried out, "The Lord, He is God! The Lord, He is God!" Elijah told them to destroy the false prophets of Baal. That day, God's power was seen, and many hearts began to turn back to Him. Elijah prayed for rain, and his servant looked toward the sea. At first, there was nothing. Then the servant saw a tiny cloud, as small as a man's hand. Soon the sky grew dark, and rain poured over the dry land once again. When Queen Jezebel heard what happened, she became furious. She sent a message, "Elijah will die by tomorrow." Elijah ran into the wilderness, tired, afraid, and alone. He sat under a tree and asked God to take his life. God didn't scold Elijah. Instead, he sent an angel to bring food and water. Elijah rested and grew strong again. Then he walked for 40 days to Mount Horeb, the mountain of God. On the mountain, Elijah hid in a cave. A mighty wind came, then an earthquake, then fire. But God was not in them. Finally, Elijah heard a gentle whisper. It was the voice of God, reminding him that he was still near. God told Elijah that he was not alone. 7,000 people had not bowed to Baal. Then Elijah found Elisha working in a field. Elijah placed his cloak on Elisha, showing he would be the next prophet. Elisha left everything to follow and learn from him.